Are you tired of hearing just practice as the answer to becoming more creative? Because here's the thing, you can practice for years and still feel stuck. What starts as something fun slowly turns into a chore. You feel guilty for not being consistent enough, so you stop showing up. But what if showing up more often has less to do with more discipline and more to do with curiosity? If you're ready to stop pushing harder and start creating with more ease and joy, this episode is the one for you. Hi, I'm Renata McElvany, a creativity coach for neurodivergent and multi-passionate women of color with over 10 years of experience in the creative industry and a lifetime creating for self-care. And in this show, we talk about creativity not just as a hobby, but as a tool for self-discovery, healing, joy, and everything in between. So get cozy, grab your favorite drink, and let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about why working with a creativity coach can transform the way that you practice creativity. And I want to start off this episode by sharing a little bit about my own experience and why I'm so passionate about this work. So for years, I created from a place of pressure. I was really focused on perfectionism, on doing things the correct way. I wanted to make a lot and I wanted to make it fast. And I think a big reason for this pressure was because I was sharing my work online and I felt like I needed to make new things often. I wanted to be impressive and I wanted to get attention for what I was doing. And I think another reason why I went about my creativity this way is because this is typically the way most people talk about creating. We focus on the end result, the product, and less on the process. And I did this for years until it became unbearable and I ended up burning out. This breakdown became my reset because over the last few years, I have spent my time rebuilding my creative practice from the ground up into a practice that feels flexible, aligned, and more focused on self-understanding. I went from feeling frustrated and stuck to creating with more joy, more confidence, and understanding myself better. This is when things actually started to get way more fun and more exciting for me. And it became less about comparing myself to others and more about discovering the things that got me excited and that I was curious about. This is when I discovered the importance of not just learning how to produce things, but also how to pay attention to how we feel as we create. As a result, my creativity has grown as abundant and as strong as ever. It not only supports me when I want to draw and paint, but also when I want to write, when I want to solve problems, when I'm designing, and even in daily life. And while I agree that practicing is the best way to get better at any skill, I also think it's just as important to learn how to practice, especially for women like you and I who are sensitive, intuitive, and neurodivergent. Because before you can create freely, you need to understand what supports your creativity, what drains it, and what meaning your creative practice holds for you. And this is the power of understanding yourself and what works for you. That is why today I want to share with you why it's so helpful to have guided support when you're wanting to bring more creativity into your daily routine, especially if you're somebody that hasn't been making in a long time, or you feel overwhelmed with the thought of starting to create, or you're short on time and you don't know where to start. And I also want to share my unique coaching approach and what you can expect when working with me. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the common reasons why we struggle to create. And the first that I want to name here is the loud inner critic. And this is that voice inside our heads that judges ourselves harshly and has us believing that we have to be perfect to be worthy of creating. When we are in the mindset of the inner critic, we're very externally focused and we're constantly worried about what other people think, getting their approval, and we're comparing ourselves. We are afraid of making mistakes, loosening up, being messy. We think there is a correct way to create. So we feel like creative play is childish, it's stupid, and we would rather do anything else, especially if it can help us to move forward with our chores or our productivity. Then there's also overwhelm. And this is when we struggle because we have limited time, we have many competing responsibilities, and the idea of practicing feels like a chore. We lose that initial spark that got us interested to create in the first place. So we just stop showing up. And what's worse is that we internalize this inconsistency, this lack of being able to show up for inadequacy. We think something must be wrong with me because I can't do this. And we spend years and years feeling bad for ourselves and blaming ourselves and just thinking that we cannot possibly do this instead of realizing that the approach needs to change. We also struggle with guilt and people pleasing. If you are like me, we are coming into this work as recovering people pleasers, as recovering overachievers. And this is no accident because most of us are interested in expressing ourselves and making more time for ourselves, haven't been doing this. This is something that we were conditioned into doing, prioritizing other people's needs, prioritizing other people's wants. And the idea of focusing on ourselves feels really selfish and really foreign. So when creativity asks, what do you want to make? What do you want to express? We freeze. We don't know what we want. And the truth is, you don't have to figure yourself out before you create, because creativity is the process that you are going to use to help you understand yourself better. And you learn by making things, by moving, by expressing. And this is why I say that creativity is not something that you think, it's something that you do. And that is why having guidance, having someone that can help you to integrate self-discovery into your practice is so powerful. So now I want to tell you a little bit about my own coaching approach and why I center building a creative habit instead of just focusing on setting goals. And I just want to say what one creativity coach offers can vary greatly from what another one does. And I think this is important to know because not everyone is talking about practicing and not everyone is offering to help you to develop a practice. And the reason why I focus on this work is because, as you have heard me talk, I have dealt with this problem personally, intimately. And so it's really important for me to share this information with women like me who are also struggling to figure out why they can't seem to practice consistently, why they can't practice in a way that makes sense for them. And for me, it's really important to create offers and to do work where I actually have experience, where I am passionate about it, and I can speak in a way that resonates with women and not just like read about it in some place. So I just wanted to put this in here in case this is important to you. With that being said, let's continue talking about my approach to helping you build a creative practice. So I'm really inspired by nature, by rhythms and cycles. And I think this is a gentle alternative to rigid productivity systems. And this is what I use when I'm working with clients. The framework is designed especially for people like you and I who are sensitive, intuitive, and neurodivergent. And we move through phases instead of rigid steps. The phases are grounding, clearing, flowing, observing, and transforming in a loop, not a straight line. Because creativity is not linear or static, it's alive. And I love this approach because it's flexible and it's low pressure. And this is the key word. We need low pressure ways of practicing, because when someone is staring at us, we are not going to do well. If someone expects us to do things really fast, we're not going to do well. And we need a little bit of structure so that we have some sense of where we're going, but there's still flexibility to adjust things as we go. So I love that it's a balance between intuitive flow and enough structure to keep us moving forward without it feeling like a straitjacket that feels rigid and limiting. So during our time together, you are going to learn how to create from a place of ease instead of anxiety. You are going to understand your own unique creative rhythm. And this is huge. This is what no one talks about, Because here's the thing, everybody has a different creative rhythm. And my job as your coach is to help you identify that rhythm so that we can work with it instead of against it. We are also going to create a routine that meets you where you are in this season of life instead of the other way around, which is typically what we do. We are going to pay attention to where you are in life, what sorts of things are getting in the way, and how we can build a practice that makes sense and that can be adjusted as things change. And lastly, we are going to integrate reflection into your process so that every project teaches you something about yourself. And this is something huge, again, that no one really talks about and that took me forever to learn. Like I said, focused a lot on creating, and never really made intentional time to stop, to pause, to reflect, and really think about where I was going, what I was creating, and how it felt. So we are going to do this together so that this isn't something that is left to chance, and we do this from the get-go. It's not about doing more, it's about doing things differently, with presence, with compassion, and curiosity. So here's what I want you to remember. While you don't technically need a creativity coach to build a creative practice, having one can make the process so much easier, faster, more personal, and more enjoyable. It's like having a friend holding your hand while you're diving into the deep waters and them helping you find stability and grounding. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, please rate the show. This helps other people find this work. And if you're ready to bring more creativity into your daily life, this is your next step. Book a discovery call so that we can talk about where you're at, what's keeping you stuck, and what support can look like for you. Or if you already know that you want to focus on building your creative practice, then sign up for Build a Creative Habit. This is my 12-week coaching journey designed to help you slow down, break free from the hustle, and cultivate a creative practice that feels nourishing and sustainable. You'll receive personalized coaching, voice message support between sessions, and a curated creative toolkit tailored to your own unique needs and curiosities so that you can continue to explore this long after our time working together. You can find both links in the show's description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you on the next one. Until then, stay creative. Bye.